Good morning. Welcome to another edition of the PulseWave Report with yours truly, Dex the Algo Capitalist, aka the Vulcan, coming to you live from PulseWaveTrading.com, home of the world famous PulseWave Price Trigger Reports. Well, today is impeachment day. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. They're trying to impeach another sitting president for a second time. It's not the first time they tried to impeach the president. Now, because most people are brain dead, no one is really talking about this, how ludicrous and ridiculous it is, being that he is on his way out in a matter of days anyway. So there's no need or reason to impeach the president. But it's because they are terrified that he'll run again and beat them again. But I don't know why they'll be terrified when they stack the deck so masterfully this time around. They did everything in their power to make sure that will not happen. So I don't know why the overkill, but the thing that really disturbs me more is the death of the United States of America, and particularly the death of the U.S. Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Say goodbye to your civil rights. When we allow the government to become a dictatorship, when we allow the government to become not only far and overreaching, but ginormous in its scope, in its breadth, in its reach, that is a recipe for disaster. But that's what we are. In 2021, we've woken up to the United Fascist States of America. And it's funny because if you think about it, it is ironic that many of those that are always telling us that we need to diversify, you've been hearing that word forever, diversity, diversity, diversity. We need diversity in our society. But they're also some of the strongest voices against a diversity of viewpoints on social media. So the hypocrisy is there. This is how you know, like I was telling you, we're living in 1984, where they are redefining everyday words and pouring in slick meanings that no one interprets. You see, the founders of the United States of America, they wanted to make sure that nobody would ever take the right to freedom of speech away from us. And that is why it was enshrined in the Bill of Rights. Unfortunately, courts have greatly eroded that right over the last several decades, and now we're facing an all-out assault on freedom of speech that is unlike anything we have ever seen before in the history of this nation. And once freedom of speech is completely gone, all of our other rights will soon follow because there will no longer be any way to defend them. Freedom of speech is that gateway that leads to the erosion of all of our rights, ladies and gentlemen. Even if you don't agree with a particular viewpoint, you should fight to the death to make sure that that viewpoint is heard. Because if they do it to one person, they do it to everyone. So now it's official that YouTube has also banned Trump. All right. So all social media outlets, the monopoly that controls social media, the Facebook, the Twitters, the YouTubes, and Google. All right. They have now officially put it out there. They don't care. But see, here's where you can participate. You can respond like so many others have responded, and that is by shorting the stock. The stock prices of these social media oligarchies have been taking a beating in the last couple of days in the market. You see, they don't listen to anything else. They don't even listen to votes. They throw votes in the trash. So what you need to do is hit them in the pocket. People listen to money. They listen to money. All right. Money is a tool that is used in a good way and a bad way. When they decide they want to take a particular nation, country, regime, government, individual, company, whatever, they want to take it down, what's the first thing they do? They freeze their assets. That way they can't defend themselves in court. Whenever they want to take down a gangster, they freeze his assets so he can't defend himself in court. So it gives them an easy conviction. All right. Same thing here. So the social media giants want to make it so that you can never build a competing entity against them because they'll just destroy you. Well, you can fight back by refusing to use their applications anymore. You don't have to use their apps. You really don't. The world went along just fine before social media came out. Yeah, the sun still rose and set. We still had all 4 seasons. You still had the weekend. The weekend always came every week like clockwork. Nothing changed. We did great without social media. Do not give them the power that they have already seized for themselves. Instead, fight back. We need to have our own social media platforms that are not beholden to those giants, something that they can't touch and can't do anything with. Then they wouldn't be able to do anything. They wouldn't be able to stop it. So that is the plan. Dump the stocks. If everyone started shorting the stocks, I'm sure that would do something, wouldn't it? So you can't stop that. So that's one. Next thing, you can, don't buy the stock. Number 2, don't use the platforms. And number 3, build our own free speech platform. And I think that will get their attention. When they start losing money, when they start losing viewership, when people start jumping ship, that would speak volumes. Just remember now, when the United States was established, government was really the only major threat to free speech. In early America, corporations were severely limited in size and scope. And that is because our founders were determined not to let them get too big or too powerful. Our founders knew that enormous concentrations of money and power would be great threats to freedom. And that has definitely turned out to be the case. You see, in the old days, if you wanted to express yourself, you could grab a soapbox and head down to a local street corner. The reason why we use the term marketplace of ideas today is because people literally used to gather in marketplaces and town squares and exchange ideas with one another. But now you can't even do that without permission, or they'll deem it an illegal gathering. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You've already lost all of your civil rights and you haven't even realized it. You need permission. You have to be shook down, pay a tax, pay a fee to get permission in order to have a gathering. You just can't gather. They'll say it's unlawful and they'll disperse it. In our time, the internet has become the place where all gather to exchange ideas. But unfortunately, control of all the most important gathering spaces is in the hands of a very small group of colossal tech corporations. When Facebook, Twitter, and others were first growing, they generally allowed people to say pretty much what they wanted to say, and information flowed pretty freely. But censorship has escalated dramatically over the past few years, and it reached a crescendo the other day when Twitter announced that it would permanently would be suspending President Trump's account. Ask yourself this question. How would our founders feel about that? Tech giants such as Facebook and Twitter now have more money than many entire countries do. And in many ways, they also have the same level of power that many national governments possess. Just think about this. President Trump could never take away your ability to express yourself, but Facebook and Twitter can. Again, the president can't take away your ability to express yourself, but Facebook and Twitter can. Of course, big corporations dominate just about every other aspect of our society as well. These collectivist institutions have become extremely dangerous, and they're really starting to throw their weight around. Until the power of the big corporations is addressed, we will never have a truly free society again in your lifetime. Just like leftist governments, big corporations seek to gather as much money and as much power under one single umbrella as possible. Our founders wanted to empower the individual, and that is why they wanted to limit the size of government, and that is why they also wanted to limit the size of corporations. That's not something that you've heard, probably. That's new to you. Yes, the founding fathers wanted to also limit the size of corporations. You didn't know that. Well, class is now in session. It's sad. It wasn't just President Trump that got booted off Twitter in recent days. Hordes of conservative accounts have been wiped out, over 70,000 to be exact. And this has led many to use the word purge to describe what has been happening. All right? Think about it. You wake up one morning and you realize you've lost thousands of followers in just a few days. Some people have lost even a lot more than that. Many conservatives have been fleeing to Parler, but over the past several days, the big tech giants teamed up to take down that entire platform. It is now defunct. Parler will likely go offline indefinitely, all right, because Amazon Web Services' decision to suspend the upstart social media platform after Wednesday's U.S. Capitol riot, executives said that on Sunday. We're clearly being wiped out, you guys. Chief Policy Officer Amy Peikoff told Fox and Friends Weekend, one day after Apple suspended Parler from its App Store, even as it surged to the #1 spot in the free app section earlier in the day. I know, you're absolutely stunned, right? Some of you probably didn't even know that. These people are not playing games, you guys. For the moment, Gab.com is still up, and their traffic has surged more than 750% in just a few days. Gab.com, the free speech-friendly social network, says traffic has increased by more than 750% in the past few days following the blacklisting of President Donald Trump from most mainstream tech platforms. Our traffic is up 753% in the past 24 hours, tens of millions of visits, said Gab in response to a question about slow loading speeds. But how long will it be before Gab is taken down as well? The big tech companies don't want diversity. They don't want competition, and they don't want dissent. What they want is complete and total domination to go along with your complete and total obedience. Cancel culture is not good for our society, or any society for that matter. If everyone with viewpoints that are not politically correct is eventually canceled, we will have a society that looks a whole lot like communist China or any other totalitarian regime that ever existed. And I suppose that that is precisely what a lot of people out there truly want, or should I say have been brainwashed to believe that they want, that this is a good thing. It is not always easy to listen to viewpoints that you consider to be offensive. Personally, I do not like most of what my fellow citizens are saying in 2021. But in the United States, we're not supposed to be silencing viewpoints that we don't like. Instead, we're supposed to strive for victory in the marketplace of ideas by showing that our viewpoints are better. Unfortunately, the big tech companies have decided that millions of Americans should no longer be allowed to participate in the marketplace of ideas because their viewpoints are just too offensive And the most dangerous weapon on the planet is not nuclear warheads. The most dangerous weapon on the planet is an idea. Ironically, many of those that are doing the censoring have the most offensive and the most dangerous viewpoints and ideas of all. Needless to say, if we stay on the path that we are currently on, there is no future for America, which goes back to what I've been saying all along. You're witnessing the death throes of a nation. America is collapsing from within. Without free speech, the system of government that our founders established simply won't work. What is the point of even having elections if we can only express one point of view? You might as well just have only one candidate running, like a dictatorship. In China, no dissent is allowed, and one political party runs everything on a permanent basis. That's the design that they're trying to instill in the United States of America under the auspices of the DNC. The Democrats want to run everything. They've decided that they no longer want to work with Republicans or independents or anyone else. They want to be in power, complete totalitarian, fascistic power. America appears to be heading in the same direction as China, and there are millions of people in this country that are actually quite thrilled that this is happening. You should be disgusted, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, so it's even had me thinking, I've been talking to Frank about it too. I've been like, we have to make sure that if we get booted off of social media, that people can still find and hear us. So I think I'm gonna have to go ahead and set up an account on BitChute and on band.tv. At least be there. That way, if you guys can't find us, at least we're somewhere. Of course, the website, you can still find us there. But yeah, I mean, it's getting to that point, man, where people are going to have to find alternatives since there's no central location alternative as of yet. But I believe one will be forthcoming at some point. Someone's going to end up taking the lead. I think BitChute is a pretty good one, though. And just when you thought that it was a dream and you just woke up, no, ladies and gentlemen, it is true. Someone is stepping up. They're stepping up, ladies and gentlemen. And that country would be Denmark. Denmark is now introducing the first COVID vaccine passport. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it correctly. Denmark is introducing the COVID vaccine passport. Denmark is the latest country to announce that it is rolling out a COVID passport to allow those who have taken the vaccine to engage in society without restrictions. Think about it. They say the purpose is so that you can engage in society without any restrictions. That's not what that means. What it means is they're coming after anyone who is a dissenter. So that means you will not be able to engage in society. That's what this is about. This is looking and sounding and smelling a lot like the mark of the beast, where you can't buy or sell anything. Reuters notes that the immunity passport is being developed by the Danish government. It is expected that there may be requirements from other countries to present vaccine documentation upon entry. A Danish vaccine passport can be used here, the Danish Health Ministry said in a statement on Friday. It should also be noted that here in the United States, it is now official. If you leave the country, you will not be back allowed into the country without paperwork from a doctor saying that you don't have COVID. Yes, they went there already. Further reports indicate that the immunity document will be issued via the Danish Health e-health portal with a government-issued login and will be a self-print document. And they even have an example of that document, ladies and gentlemen. Michael Svane, industry director of the Danish Transport Federation, commented that the movie is a step on the way to a more open society. A vaccine passport is the way for us to put restrictions behind us and travel by air much more, he stated. What he's really saying is a vaccine passport is a way for us to put the clamp down, to put the hammer down on anyone who is a dissenter. You don't agree with what the state says? Well, pay the consequences. Sven also noted that he hopes that international solutions will be developed to ensure that the vaccine passport is approved globally. See, that was that jab you didn't see coming. You were like, oh, who cares about what's happening in another country? I care about what's happening here at home. Oh, you didn't know. Oh, you didn't know. They're making this global. They're just spearheading it to make it global. The move toward a vaccine passport was also praised by Esben Marker, head of the Secretariat of Dansk Live, one of the country's largest event organizers. He noted that I think many festivals will use it because it can help ensure that there are no outbreaks of infection during the implementation. The system would be similar in nature to that being considered by Ticketmaster, who it was revealed are considering making customers prove they have had the vaccine or a negative test before allowing them to purchase tickets. Now, see, here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, why this makes no sense. And it seems that no one is asking this question or even bringing this up. Just because you have a piece of paper from a physician saying that you don't have the vaccine, you don't have the, or you've had the vaccine and or you are COVID free at that particular moment in time, doesn't mean that once you leave the doctor's office, you won't contract it. Because they're the ones that have already said and stated it numerous times on mainstream media that you can become reinfected. They said that. I didn't say it. They said it. So just because you're cool at that moment in time doesn't mean that by the time you get to the concert, you ain't contacted it again or contracted a different strain or a super strain. You see, the specter of so-called immunity passports is looming globally, ladies and gentlemen, whatever you want it to or not. And not only that, but I can see this also being weaponized. Think about it. They could target any citizen group they want with this. All right, let's just say the Lemonhead nationality people. All right, or they're like, no, we're not getting down with this at all. So if a Lemonhead goes to the concert, right, and let's say the governments of the world want to target the Lemonhead country of Lemonheads because they don't want to get down with what they're doing, what everyone else is doing, they can target that Lemonhead. They can target that concert. Yeah, they can. They can drop something, create an outbreak, right? And blame the Lemonhead for it, even though the Lemonhead has no illness, sickness, or disease at the time of going to that concert. But because the Lemonheads are a standout against the global governing authority bodies, they can say, see, the Lemonheads did this. Then they can declare war on the nation of Lemonhead. And they can even, if they have natural resources, they can use that as a pretext to come and take those natural resources. There's no limit to how this can be weaponized, ladies and gentlemen. And don't think that it won't happen, because it will. It's happened before. It's happening now. Prior to COVID, guess who was being blamed every time there was a mumps outbreak or any type of outbreak? The anti-vaxxers. Well, how can you blame anti-vaxxers for spreading something if 95% of everyone in your school or 99% of everyone in the school has been vaccinated? There should be no outbreak. You've been vaccinated. You see what happens? See, they double down. When they've been exposed to show that their so-called vaccines don't work, then they target a specific group. They weaponize what they're doing. So they weaponize themselves against so-called the anti-vaxxers. They label you. Last time I checked, there is no movement, there is no group, there is no cult, there is no church, there's no society, there is no fellowship called anti-vaxxers. All right, where you go and you can register and get a t-shirt and get a hat. I'm an anti-vaxxer. No, that's a label that the fascistic government has put on anyone who is not in agreement with their talking points, who take issue with their talking points. So the specter of so-called immunity passports is looming globally. Recently, the government in Ontario, Canada, admitted that it is exploring immunity passports in conjunction with restrictions on travel and access to social venues for the unvaccinated. Last month, Israel announced that citizens who get the COVID-19 vaccine will be given green passports that will enable them to attend venues and eat at restaurants. The British government has contracted 2 firms to develop COVID freedom passports that would be used to segregate society between those who have been tested or vaccinated against COVID and those who have not. Again, see, separating society so they can target certain groups. We previously reported back in November on the government's active plans to develop a QR code system to use as an immunity passport. The report, stemming from sources close to the government, noted that those who refuse to get the COVID-19 jab would likely be refused entry to venues as part of the same proposals. Other reports have suggested that an app already used prominently in the UK by people to book doctor and hospital appointments could implement a vaccination status section that will show whether a person has taken the coronavirus jab or not, and that business may use it to refuse entry to those who have not. A litany of other government and travel industry figures in both the US, Britain, and beyond have suggested that COVID passports are coming in order for life to get back to normal. In other words, if you want your life back, then you gotta let us shake you down. Or we're not shaking you down financially, we're shaking down the last remaining vestiges of your liberty, freedoms, and civil rights. Sam Grant, campaign manager at the civil liberties advocacy group Liberty, has warned that any form of immunity passport risks creating a 2-tier system in which some of us have access to freedom and support while others are shut out altogether. Can you say mark of the beast? These systems could result in people who don't have immunity potentially being blocked from essential public services, work, or housing, with the most marginalized among us hardest hit, Grant further warned. This has wider implications too, because any form of immunity passport could pave the way for a full ID system, an idea which has repeatedly been rejected as incapable and incompatible with building a rights-respecting society, Grant further urged. Again, can you say mark of the beast? Ladies and gentlemen, you can't make this stuff up. It's smacking you right in the face. Denial is not an option. All right? Straight up. Welcome to the immunity passports. Yep. Dorothy, you are not in Kansas anymore. All right? Deal with it. I know you don't like it. You may not even agree with it, but you do have to deal with it. You have to address it. All right, with that being said, you know what it is, man. Smash that like button. And remember, bulls make money, bears make money, and pigs get slaughtered. So remember to take what you can and give nothing back. And please don't forget, this Friday, we're having our first webinar of 2021. You don't want to miss it. And then this following Monday, we're going to have another webinar. You can go to PulseWaveTrading.com and you can register for those. You can do a lot of things on that website. As a matter of fact, you can also sign up for the PulseWave reports so you can have the most powerful market report ever created in your hands on a daily basis so that you can know what to buy, when to buy it, where to buy it, how to buy it, and when to get out and take profit. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So with that being said, I'm out. Peace.